Hi, this is Ginger with the Overdrive Show, and today we are so blessed to have Byron Hogan from Hogan Equine in Oklahoma. And we're going to talk about some incredible things he's doing with horses, which, if you listen to my show ever, you know I love horses and that we have horses, so I'm constantly talking about them. So this is a beautiful way for me to introduce some incredible things that he's doing, and we've reviewed the movie Unbridled, and if that was something that you liked, this will be something also that you'll want to be a part of. So I want to welcome Byron from Hogan Equine. Thank you, Byron, for coming on the show.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. This is a great opportunity.
Well, it's really a God thing, because Hogan Equine ended up with one of our horses via a couple of different routes via southern Texas up to Oklahoma. And I just got to following his social media and then commented, and we got together on, social medias like that. You get to connect, and then I find out he's doing all of these incredible things, connecting ministry with the horses. And so tell us more. I know you have a couple of different things you do, but tell us about like you have like emotional fitness workshops that you do, and who are those geared towards, and kind of how's that work?
Sure. Well, yeah, we have developed a workshop called, just like you said, emotional fitness, and it's this whole idea of what makes you successful in life. What does success look like? And there's a lot of studies out that say emotional intelligence is the number one factor to that. It's the number one factor in your personal success, your success at work, your success at school, whatever you're doing. It's this whole idea or concept of knowing your own emotions, being able to read the emotions of others, and being able to navigate through life using that information, but not being ruled by it. And some of us are born with it, some of us are not. But unlike your intelligence, that you're born with, your emotional intelligence, you can actually train it. You can grow it, and you can become more adept at it. Your intelligence quotient or regular IQ, you're just born with it, right? I mean, some of us are Einsteins, and some of us aren't.
Some of us aren't.
Yeah, but the neat thing with emotional intelligence is that you can improve it. You can train it, and so that's kind of what we focus on. And believe it or not, we use the horses to teach all that.
That's easy to do, because I am so I believe there is such a sentient quality with horses that you don't find in a lot of animals. That there's something about the trust and respect that they have to feel, but then so do you. It's such a symbiotic relationship, and it's so easy for me to see God in the horses, see how he would relate, how he relates to us. And that's something that you do, right? You tell us about the Mustangs. I'm a big fan of Mustangs, but you do work with Mustangs into the program, right?
Yes, and primarily we use wild Mustangs, horses that have not been touched, for these workshops. And initially that's the big intrigue for a lot of people to come do this thing. It's not a horseman's retreat by any means. We do a lot of these for non-horsemen as well, but what the wild horse has to offer, first of all, he's a prey animal. I think sometimes people forget that. They're not predators. And because of that, they don't have a choice but to live in the moment. They don't think about the past. They don't think about the future. They're just living right here and right now. And what that does for us is it gives us instant biofeedback on how they perceive us, how they perceive our approach, how they perceive our emotions, all of that. And that's what's needed to get more emotionally fit, right? Because people are so incongruent, Miss Ginger. Oh, my goodness. Right?
Yep.
Like, I can't see you right now, but you're being very professional. You're engaging and talking to me, but I don't know how you're perceiving me, right? So if I wanted to get better at this emotional fitness, I would need to have you be a lot more honest, which as a professional, we're taught to be a little bit incongruent on some level, and so it's really hard because a lot of people are so nice to us, right? That we have
Right.
grace over others, but it's hard to get better at this emotional fitness. Take for instance, let's say somebody that's in sales, right? Like you're a salesman of some sort. People that are really good at sales are really emotionally intelligent, and they're able to adjust their sales pitch, so to speak, in the moment according to how the other person's perceiving it, right?
Right.
And that's again, people that are really successful at ministering to others. They do the same thing, right? They adjust their pitch. And you look at the Bible, and Jesus had a different way of handling everybody. And
because he would talk to the farmers like farmers. Yeah.
You know, people always wanted to figure him out, right? They wanted the magic formula, but there wasn't a formula. It was really his ability to connect and emote with others. And we actually have some science behind that and a way that we can deliver that to others.
And it's such I know that I'm asking questions I already know, but you have an approach that I found. I mean, even like afterwards, I was thinking about what we talked about, and I think it's so incredible the way that you use them to show the relationship between us and God, and I think people don't, it's so hard for people who have not maybe been had some kind of emotional experience or been maybe brought up in the faith. They, it's hard for them to just relate, like just off the street, relate to it. And your way of using horses, and you show kind of, somebody who's never, heard about God or really listened to it. It's kind of like the Mustangs, and you were talking about fencing the men. Can you use that analogy? Because that was really beautiful.
Sure. We get those colts in the round pen or those wild horses, and all they can do is think about getting out. That's all they can think about. And some of them will try to jump out of the round pen. They'll do all kinds of crazy things just looking for a way out. And I see that with people all the time. That don't know God, and maybe, like you said, have had a bad experience with God, or had a bad experience with the church, and maybe they turn to drugs or turn to something else, and that's no different than that wild horse is just turning away from us.
Yeah.
And for a long time, that's kind of the way I was. And I spent my whole life thinking that, okay, one day I'll get better. I'll get trained. I'll trust God and all those things. And, those of us in the horse industry, we kind of know this term called join up, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you've probably experienced it, Miss Ginger. You get a horse in the round pen, and he's running around, and then there's that moment where he just stops and turns and looks at you, And we all know from the horse side of things that, okay, now we can start, right? And
now we're getting somewhere, yeah.
I think God's the same way. I think, I don't think my relationship started at salvation. I think it started at the moment that I was at least able to acknowledge that God was God. Like I could just at least stop, and in my mind's eye look at him and go, okay, you're God. And I didn't trust him. I didn't know him. I didn't know what it's about. I was still scared to death. But that ability to acknowledge was huge, and be acknowledged. And for me, like, I wish that I could just spend all my time just getting that one message out. That people don't have to do anything. They don't have to be anything special. That if they could just find it in their heart, whether it's, to overcome fear or overcome anger or whatever that is, to just acknowledge that God is God, like he can do the rest, right?
Yeah, and you are enough right now, whether you're the wild Mustang out there tearing up life, or you're in the pen doing train steps and, doing everything, he asked of you. I mean, it's not based on that. Everyone is already enough for him. We just have to realize that and and know that he's more than enough for us, that he's everything for us. And it's that, like you were saying, that moment when we just stop and it's like the light bulb goes on and it's like, he can meet me where I'm at and take me from where I'm at to where I need to be. And it's such a beautiful thing. And I love, ministries that tell people you're just the way you are today with all your baggage, no matter what you've done, where you're at. It's enough. You're fine. Like you don't have to be any better. He'll he'll bring it out of you, whatever he wants to, but you're enough. He loves you exactly as you are right now, no matter how much. If you opened up all your baggage on the floor, it's still, he loves you exactly the way you are.
Well, I think the beautiful thing is that anybody, even if they don't know horses, I think everyone would agree that wild horses do not train themselves.
No.
I mean, there's absolutely really nothing they can do for themselves. And I think that's just
That's
the
us.
absolute picture of how God looks at us.
Yeah.
And I know from experience, I used to not believe that. Before I was a Christian, I just thought, oh my gosh, I've got to do all this stuff and be this other thing, be this person of greatness or whatever was in my mind at the time. But it's so not true. I mean, there's nothing we can do for ourselves. Nothing. It's just all God.
Now, your program, we have interviewed the director and one of the actresses from Unbridled, the movie that I sent you. Like it's based on a real horse therapy farm. So I'm thinking that some people are probably asking, is this the same as horse therapy or is this different? Because yours is a little bit different, right?
Yeah, that's such a good question. Such a good question. And actually, no. What we do is not therapy. Therapy is a great thing, and especially horse therapy. It's done amazing things over the years. But the thing I think about in the Bible is how it says, men train the young men in the way they should go. Women train the young women in the way they should go. And that's really what we're doing is we're using these horses to actually teach, to actually give people life skills. And so for instance, whatever problem you have in your life, it could be drugs, it could be alcohol, it could be depression, anxiety, whatever it is not a problem until it inhibits your ability to connect with others.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, because someone having anger doesn't mean they have an anger issue. It's
Right.
only an issue if it inhibits their ability to connect with others. And in a nutshell, that's what we're doing using these horses. Is these people get to spin the pen with these wild horses. I call them virtual reality simulators.
I love that.
And that's what's hard is because, a lot of times you read about a skill or something that you should be using, or maybe you read the Bible and you see these scriptures and go, oh, that's what I should be doing. But the Bible told us as Christians, train the young people. We should train others. So that's what we're doing is allowing people to step in this round pen and actually practice this relationship building. Practice overcoming these hurdles in your life. And so it's horses are not people. I don't want anybody to think that, but they do give us that instant biofeedback, and we can adjust. Maybe it's just a body posture.
Yeah.
You would not believe how your posture can affect your relationships. And you may never learn that until you step in the pen with a wild horse.
Yeah.
And something as simple, I notice people all the time when they get tense or when they're trying to build a relationship, they'll put their weight on their toes. And you start watching people that are intense or really intentional, or they really, really want something really bad, when they're speaking to someone, their weight will be on their toes.
Yeah.
and just a weight shift of planting your weight on your heels instead of your toes, you would not believe the impact that has on a wild horse. But people, like I said, they don't get that feedback because as a society, we're pretty incongruent about those things. We're on a general scale, we're the same way with everybody, no matter what, right?
Yeah.
We're controlling ourselves. Horses don't have that ability; they only respond. And so that's why I say it's not really therapy. If you come in, I'm not going to talk about your problems necessarily. I'm not going to ask you any questions at all. We're just going to work with a horse, a wild horse.
And I think I know you had a video, a ministry video of one of your guys who really no one spoke to him. He spent time alone with a horse, and God spoke to him, just him and that horse. He had an encounter, and not that the horse was speaking. It wasn't Mr. Ed, but
Sure.
you know what I mean. And I thought, that's because God made everything every animal, every leaf of grass. I mean, so if He made it, then being closer to one of the things He made, can bring us closer to Him. And he was just hearing that guy's testimony, and I'm telling you, being around horses, I've watched it personally where we weren't even meaning to do therapy, but we brought a teenager to the farm one time, and just like watching her interact, and then she didn't say a lot then, but when she walked away, it was like everything she needed to do, she just let loose in the car. Like,
Sure.
and I think it's so beautiful. Now you minister to, I say minister to, I mean, you do these workshops for a lot of different types of things, and people like PTSD and veterans and youth, and anything. Whether you're going through something serious or you're not, you can benefit from this.
Absolutely, absolutely. We started out several years back just piloting different things, and we wanted it to be really results based. And the results people were getting were so profound that people really started looking at this professionally. And so now we do things for school districts. Most school districts have state mandated in-service training. And a lot of that in-service training nowadays is focused on social emotional learning.
Yeah.
Because people in this day and age, through technology and whatnot, they're getting more and more disconnected. Kids are more disconnected and unable to build relationships than ever before. And these teachers are not only responsible for their academic learning, but now they've been tasked with their emotional learning as well. And where do you go for that, right? And so we provide toolkits and experiences for educators. We provide toolkits and experiences for youth. I'm a big fan of helping the youth, because our kids, they don't get a choice, right? You and I, Miss Ginger, we have choices. We're somewhat in control of our own life. I mean, God is really in control of it, but we get to make choices. Those youth don't get to make choices. They don't get to decide what their home life is like. And so it's even more important to reach out to them and give them these skill sets to cope with. We also do programs for military veterans. That is one of our longest going programs. And with that program, the veterans actually start a wild horse. It's a 30-day immersion program, and we partner with the Mustang Heritage Foundation on that. And it's a wonderful, wonderful experience. We've had veterans. One of my best friends now was totally disconnected from his family. They couldn't go to a restaurant. They couldn't go out in public. His daughters were mortified of him. He was not a horseman. He went through the program. He now has his own training gig. They start Mustangs. The whole family has horses now. And right now they're actually on a month-long hunting trip together up in Wyoming.
Oh, my gosh. I'm so envious.
Beautiful, just, from an emotional or spiritual standpoint, rags to riches stories. He found the Lord through the horses, and those are the moments where you just go, okay, we have to keep moving forward. We have to share this with everyone. So I am a fan, both inside and outside of this wild horse emotional fitness workshop.
And they can do it for an hour and a half, or they can do more like a half day, or like you're saying that you have 30-day programs. You have all different kinds of programs tailored to the people who are attending, basically, right?
Yes, absolutely. We realize that time is valuable. It's super valuable, and so we have experiences that you can come for a 1-day experience and walk away with true skill sets, with real tools that you can use from that day forward. I never want these experiences to be a one and done.
Yeah.
I don't want them to be a deal where you look back and go, oh, that was fun.
Yeah.
That's not what I want. I want people to walk away and go, oh my gosh, I have the ability to change my own life now. I have the ability to change those around me. How empowering is that to be able to influence the relationships that you have in your life? If you could just influence the relationships in your life and nothing else, I mean, wouldn't we all have what we want, essentially?
Exactly. And I know that you guys you're in a production called Chasing Wild, right?
Oh,
Where
yes.
If people want to see, a really beautiful, a kind of a scenario of you and the Mustangs, they can go to chasingwild.com. But we really want to get them to your website to find, so they can look up more information on how to get involved in your workshops and any of your training programs. So is it hoganequine.com? Do I have that right?
Yes, ma'am. And also on Facebook, Hogan Equine. And yeah, a lot of people want to have the experience, but maybe they live in Washington State. We are highly mobile. We have been part of productions in 30 different states, and so we're able to service anybody. And if maybe you're that one person that wants to do this, you can easily be an event host, and just give us a call, and we'll help you work out the logistics. And we have a huge network of wild horse facilities across the nation, and so we're able to service anybody's with the live horse experience. And I can't say enough about it. If you have not got the opportunity to step in the pen with a wild horse, there is something happening. I don't know what it is, but it really is magical, and it's life changing.
And I find myself sometimes feeling like I'm maybe biased because I as soon as I get on a horse, which was a little Shetland pony, like named Carrot. And I mean, I still remember, we had to be proficient at Carrot before we could move on. And
Yes.
But just remembering, I had little plastic horses all over my room. I corralled them. Just I've always had this bug. I've always had that love. But there are people that I know that don't necessarily have that bug, but have sat at the fence and just like not want, too scared to be approaching the horses, but
Absolutely.
but walked away just, I don't like it, like just kind of marveling at what they are like. And when you start talking the actual relationships, I have some that I've got them trained to come grab my ponytail, and when they're ready to be loved on, they're
Absolutely.
they're so amazing. And I can't say enough either. I definitely recommend, again, it's Hogan, HOGAN,
Yes, ma'am.
and then Equine, EQUINE.com, or look it up on Facebook and look at the pictures and the videos. It's so beautiful, and his wife does an amazing job at that. She may not think she's a photographer, but she is, because she does great pictures.
Yes,
Um,
she's that was my greatest relationship that I've built so far in life.
exactly.
So,
Yeah.
and that actually was built through horses, believe it or not.
Yeah, well, it
So
better be, right? I mean,
that's right. That's right.
well, thank you so much, Byron, for being on the show. And we're going to share this with everybody. And I pray that you have just more and more amazing success. And I pray this thing blows up into a lot more than where you think it's going, because God always has bigger plans than we do. And I hope that, what you're doing now, the seeds that you're planting grows and grows exponentially.
Well, I'm very humbled by that, and I I feel lucky every day, or blessed that I wake up and that God has chosen to use me, little Obi, and so yeah, really your words mean a lot. I appreciate it, Mr. Dinder.
Well, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon. We'll catch up with you later on down the road when you're doing yet another program. We'll grab a hold of that.
Absolutely, and we'll be talking more and more about your babies, I'm sure.
Oh yes, absolutely. I can always talk about our babies.